Okay, and then we have another one that's sort of topic related.
Okay.
That has to do with a question, I guess, or a comment on evolution. So
Okay,
let's
sure.
try
Julie.
Julie in Brooklyn, you're on.
Hey, what's up?
Hi.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, I'm the one on richarddawkins.net known as In Your Face New Yorker, if anybody's interested.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah, I wanted to point out something. I didn't know my name was that funny. Yes, one thing I wanted to point out was that I think that, like, not accepting evolution is dangerous, and not because it's evolution, but because it's a scientific claim that has been verified over and over again. I think that creates a world that's safe for rejecting science, and if you reject one scientific claim, why shouldn't you reject another, such as HIV causes AIDS? Well, something like that did happen. If you recall, in the 1980s, there's a kid, Ryan White, who was the poster boy for AIDS, and he was shunned by the community. They shot a bullet through his house. People, like scientists, were coming out and saying, this is how you can get AIDS. You get from this virus called HIV, and it's not transmitted casually. People weren't listening. Meanwhile, I talked to this guy over in Finland, which is a secular country that respects science, and he said there was no AIDS panic in the 80s like there was here. Once HIV was identified, it was taught to kids as young as 6 years old in science textbooks. And other parts of Europe, I've been told the same thing. And also, this also goes for, like, global warming. If you can reject evolution and we need to respect that, why shouldn't we respect somebody rejecting global warming? I think not respecting science is simply dangerous.
Well, yeah, I agree, and I'm sure you know here in Texas we have a real issue with our State Board of Education.
Yes.
You know, because they want to rewrite science textbooks to conform to.
Well, they definitely want to undermine evolution.
Yeah.
In an effort to bolster creationism, even if they're not.
And one of their goals was also, undermining global warming and the science behind it. And it's a general anti-science view. This view of, well, science can't explain everything, therefore anything goes.
Yeah. And I know we can't get too political, but yeah, just to say, take your school board elections seriously.
Yes.
And do your homework and make sure you know when they're coming up, and do your best to get somebody in there that's qualified, not just who's a member of, I don't know, some religious organization or has particular religious views, but maybe, somebody who actually has some background in education and themselves shows a penchant for understanding education and promoting it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I guess that whole AIDS denialism thing, we've got the vaccine denialism thing.
And that vaccine is a big conspiracy to try to kill people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, Julie, you might be actually near suicidal if you could see some of the emails we get on our list that demonstrate...
I've seen it all. There was somebody on my Facebook list last week who befriended me because I cracked a joke about wanting to slap the Pope. I didn't crack it to her face, but she just happened to see it. And she defriended me and said, this isn't something I find funny, nor do I take lightly.
Now, she defriended you? She defriended you?
She defriended me because of that.
Did you get, like, a notification or something?
No, when I notice that a friend is missing, I always check to see who it is.
Oh, okay.
I know that sounds really crazy. That's just how I do it.
I was just curious what happens when you defriend somebody on Facebook. But, okay, so you just drop off and they don't know unless...
I figure out who it is.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks very much, Julie. Appreciate your comments, and I think we agree.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we've got Justin from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Hi, Justin.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for holding.
Oh, no problem. So I sent an email to, I believe it was Tracy who responded to my email. I was talking about a new argument I want to construct on my blog, something about love letters from God, because it's crazy that all Christians say that we should love God, we're compelled to love Him, He created us, He does all these great things for us, but I don't really find any compelling evidence for accepting the claim that He exists. And it seems quite strange that if in real life someone left letters at my door, someone claimed that, she was watching me all the time, that
I remember this.
She loves me, but yet I don't know who this person is. I mean, a lot of people talk about her. I've never actually seen her. I've never met her. So it seems to be a really odd thing that we're supposed to love a being just because they love us.
Yeah, and I think my response was something like, it's even worse than if you were getting letters at your door. It would be like somebody came to you with letters that were 2,000 years old and unsigned, and then said, you know, this letter, even though it's addressed to the church at Corinth, is really intended for you. And it says that you need to do all this stuff, and that someone loves you.
It's a lot worse in this case, because
it's pretty crazy.
I mean, imagine if the letter said something like, if you don't love me, I'm going to kidnap you and shoot you, and all these bad things are going to happen to you.
Right.
I mean, I cannot be justified in loving a person like that, and I
Right.
think this is the same case with Christianity, but it's a lot worse.
It's when you deconstruct it, sometimes it does seem a little absurd, yeah. I can't argue. If I could, I would still be a Christian.
But in recent discussions with theists and ministers and pastors that I speak to, this one lady told me that, well, deep down in your heart, you knew if someone did that in real life, you would still love the person. But I said, no, hold on. I would love a person who threatens to kill me and kidnap me if I didn't return this love?
Wow. Yeah. No,
Okay.
I can't. I don't even know what to respond to other than if somebody felt that way. I mean, I guess if that's your personal thing, that you would still love somebody who threatens your life, or threatens to torture you or harm you or offers, it says coercion. I mean, I don't know. If I had a daughter, for example, that was dating somebody who said, I love you so much, and if you ever leave me, I'll break both your arms, I would tell her, get away as soon as possible, and we're going to get a restraining order. And I don't want you to ever be in touch with this person again. I don't know how else.
Exactly. So I don't know how the Christians can be justified in this. They try to get out by saying, oh, it's free will, you can choose, but we shouldn't have excessive punishment. A belief should not be predicated on fear, punishment, or torture, or anything like this at all.
Usually what I hear is it's sort of like a variation on the free will. It says that, it's almost like, well, I'm not breaking your arms. It's this other person that's going to break your arms if you don't love me. And I just, you're just choosing to let him break your arms. And the problem with that is that if I have the capacity to control the guy that's going to break your arms, then I'm kind of responsible if he breaks your arms. You know what I mean? If I can stop him, then I don't. So, yeah, it's like no matter how you slice it, the fact is it's a plan that's set up to punish people who don't want to worship you. And it's very weird. I mean, if a human being did that, everybody would think, what a monster.
Right, but there's, for some reason, some exception. But I've yet to hear a good rebuttal to my argument.
And it's not even. I mean, you would think that the best somebody could muster, if let's say they said, well, this is a god and not a human being. It almost seems like the best you could muster is, you better do what he says because you don't want to go to hell. But really, it converts into this whole, it's love. It's love and it's mercy. And it's like, how in the world did that become love and mercy? If anything, it's just like, we better do what he says because he's psycho. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's also another form of love that we were discussing about the hymns, that love is supposed to be sending your son to earth to have him crucified on a suicide mission, and this is supposed to step in and forgive people.
Right.
But it's also immoral on that part because, God is a third party, perhaps. I mean, if I, for example, went into someone's house in Florida who a man battered his wife and said, oh, you're forgiven for battering your wife, they would look at me as if I were crazy. I can't do that.
What if
the wife has to be the one to forgive?
What if he said, here's my child, kill him, and then I'll forgive you for killing your wife? I mean, it's just weird. It's just weird because, I mean, you're talking about, supposedly this is the God who gets to make the rules. And it's like, wow, this is the plan he came up with? Seriously? This is the best he could do? I'm going to send a guy to Earth, and he's going to be really good, and he's going to tell you to love each other, and then I want you to kill him. And you need to kill him because that's the only way this is going to work. And it needs to be pretty brutal because I want you to feel real bad about it when you do it. It's nuts.
I mean, it's kind of like the pedophile who co-opts one of his victims to recruit other victims. And then this kid feels really guilty, and he won't say anything because he's participated in this.
Except
even
I don't
though,
think they feel guilty.
Well,
I think it's like it's all love and happy.
Yeah, they think
it is all love and happiness. It's just like the swirling stars of a cult member. I mean, they would recognize it in a heartbeat. If it was somebody else, in some other religion doing it, they would be like, this is grotesque. But if it's your own religion, it's perfectly okay. Yeah, I've probably said enough to piss off a lot of people. I'm sure we'll get a lot of emails about
I hope so.
negative attitude toward religion. But all right, well, is there anything else, Justin?
Oh, a second point in recent debates, I pressed the ministers and the pastors on the point of, well, if you have this belief, it should be demonstrable. You should have a good reason for it. And the one lady said, well, it doesn't matter if God actually exists. I don't need evidence. It just works in my life. And it really matters that people just believe in it. And I've also heard this from a theologian before, too.